Hey internet, you see that? That broken bolt there? That, my friends, is a real pain. Last time I came out here, I spent 4 hours under the car trying to remove that broken bolt. About a week ago, I was on Facebook messaging the previous owner, asking him a couple things about some stuff I'd found. And he mentioned, oh, hey, by the way, you're going to hate me for this, but before an event, we had to weld the cross member to the K-frame because we broke that bolt off. Not a problem, I said. I'll just grind it out of there and take the bolt out and be on my way. Not so easy. They ran weld material up in that hole. I don't know if you could see it at the beginning, but yeah, I wasn't able to get all of that out. I spent 4 hours under the car with a drill and a grinder and my carbide bit set, and I couldn't even get to the broken bolt. So I made the decision to just replace the K-frame. I found one on eBay for about 150 bucks. It's coming from California, and it should be here in a couple more days. So I want to get this existing K-frame out so when the new one gets here I can just slap it in place and proceed with that part of the project. Another thing I want to do while I'm out here is address the power steering delete. As you can see, the power steering pump is the tensioner for the water pump. So if I remove the power steering pump, I either have to figure out a way to tension that belt or just run a belt direct from the crank to the water pump, which can be done. It's been done. It's not an ideal solution. Ideally, I would just get on the internet and order a custom steel brand power steering delete kit. Unfortunately, those are no longer in production, and that company doesn't build parts anymore. They make $1,500 belt buckles. Capitalism. You can't blame the guy. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that pump and bracket off and take it to a local fabricator who's made some really obscure little pieces for me in the past and see if they can help me on this one too. If not, then I'll just run the belt direct and go from there. It gets the job done. Press on regardless, right? Anyway, I'm going to throw the camera on the stand and get a time lapse going, and I'll check in when I'm done. Alright, that concludes this episode. First of all, I'm going to apologize for having the engine pushed so far to the side of the frame. I didn't realize it while I was filming. Hopefully we didn't miss too much, but we'll do a quick recap. I removed the factory catch can, and this isn't going back in. I don't have any intentions of running in the production classes or stock class with this car, so things like the PCV system and the evaporative systems aren't necessary. So I'm getting rid of them to mostly declutter the engine bay. Getting rid of all those hoses and those big clunky items will improve serviceability, whether it's me or somebody else working on the car. Did get the K-member out, and steering rack and lower control arms are disconnected, so when the new one gets here it should be pretty easy to swap everything over and slap it back in the car. With the rack out of the car though, I think I'm going to do a proper manual conversion, and that's going to involve dismantling the rack and modifying some of the internals to give it better reliability and better feedback, as opposed to just looping lines and having all that fluid sloshing around. So speaking of power steering, this pump ended up being a lot more complicated than I expected it to be. There's a lot of parts here. I was hoping this bracket would just be something I could unbolt the pump from and take the bracket in to the machine shop, but yeah, it's not going to be that easy. So that's going to become a little bit more involved than I really wanted it to be. But such is life. Also, while we're in here, I was noticing this goofy oil filter bracket. Actually, it's not a terrible factory design for serviceability. Getting at the filter and draining it is actually pretty easy for like a daily driver. But for a race car, I would prefer a setup where I can put hoses on it, relocate the filter to an even more convenient location, but also give me the ability to add an oil cooler in the future should I need it. If I have like really high engine temperatures, I've found with these SRs, adding an oil cooler helps a ton. At least it does on my turbocharged S14. Also got some of the engine wiring cleaned up. It doesn't look cleaned up probably, but it's laid out where I know where things go and where things belong. I was able to remove some unnecessary components, and I do have intentions of modifying some of the power distribution that was done by the previous owner. It wasn't terrible. I've seen much worse, and no offense, Mark, it's just I would prefer to have a little bit cleaner setup with ring terminals that are soldered and crimped properly instead of like the screw-on ends. Again, no offense, it worked. It's just I would prefer something a little bit more robust. I've removed all of this stuff. Previous owner did an HID conversion to the factory headlights, which turned out really nice. I'm looking forward to seeing how those actually work in the dark. All these relays are for the rally lights and horns and fans, and it's all going to go back in. It's just I wanted to get it out of the way for now, so I can, like I said, clean it up and handle maybe relocating some of that stuff into the passenger compartment instead of in the engine bay. Anyway, thanks for checking it out. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that stuff. Check me out on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget to check out the Tri-City Evolution Rally Team Facebook page as well. All right, we'll see you next time.